Good morning, everyone. We have had a really productive last couple days coming up with those brainstormed ideas, really cool ideas. I said this last time, still even more, the last couple classes came through. So many really cool ideas that I can't wait to see you start finalizing the designs. But many of you come up with so many good ideas, like multiple good ideas, it's gonna be hard to pick one. But after you submit those brainstormed ideas, we're gonna talk about them on the Google Meet or in person, but made some really good progress cutting out some of the toolbox blanks, the boxes. Like I mentioned last time, got the drawing all toolpathed out, 20 boxes on a sheet of plywood. Had to get the 4-foot by 8-foot sheet of 3/4, well, it's not quite 3/4, it's 11 millimeter Baltic birch. Slide that on into the CNC machine and get it put on the table. Make sure I don't break the bit. Got to move the router out of the way. For this operation, I'm going to use a brand new carbide bit. This is brand new, down spiral, 2-edged carbide bit, because we're going to be cutting so much material, so much wood at one time. I want to make sure it doesn't burn the wood. I want to make sure that there's no issues. So brand new sharp bit for this operation. As always, we are going to zero the bit to the top of the wood in the Z-axis. Fortunately, all the cuts were with the same bit, so I didn't have to change the router bit at all through this process, and just let the tool process run. So the first step is to run a tool path that just drills little marks in the wood, little pilot holes for the screw that's gonna hold the plywood down to the table so it doesn't move when we make the cut. That just drilled little starter holes, so I knew exactly where to put the screws. And then inside the box is a dado cut, which is what fits the bottom in so it doesn't fall out. That was the first cut that had to be made. This is the dado cut that the bottom is gonna fit in. That's the bottom of the toolbox. You can now see why it was important to plan where these screws go, because you don't want to accidentally hit the steel with that carbide bit. It will break it. So after the dado cuts, it began doing the profile cuts around the edges of the boxes. That process took quite a bit of time because the machine was set to a speed that would handle the amount of cutting. This is finally done. We have all the boxes cut. First, we got to take the screws out of the board. Like we've discussed before, whenever we do profile cuts, we have to put tabs on the profile cuts so the pieces don't fall out while you're trying to cut them. They're like little stencils, like old little, model airplane. So you just have to take a mallet with a chisel and chisel out the tab. So in this case, because it's plywood, it's a little more difficult to just break the tabs out like you did on the key holder project, because plywood is layers of wood. We've discussed this, everybody should know this by now. So all those thin layers make it really strong. So it's really hard to just pop out the tabs without damaging the wood. If you efficiently lay out all the parts that you need cut on a board, you can really minimize the amount of waste. So that's all that's left of that full sheet of plywood. Most of the wood went to the projects. This is all that's left to go in the garbage. Very efficient use of material. The rest of the scrap material became sawdust. This floor was clean before. Look at the pile on the table. So all this has to be cleaned up now. You can see on the floor, even over here. Dust collector, all that dust, as you can see, is now in there, and that has to be emptied. But as you can see, I didn't clean the dust collector out very well before this operation, so afterwards it was quite full of sawdust. Get out of here. So that actually was quite a few projects worth of sawdust, but that is also the waste created by the CNC, plus the panel. After a couple hours of cutting and sweeping, we have 20 boxes right here ready to go for you, ready to be sanded, customized, and then assembled. So now the dust collector is all cleaned out, ready for the next sheet, because that's only 20 boxes. We're gonna have a lot more than that, obviously. So we're ready to run another tool path, cut another sheet of boxes, and then we'll be ready for your custom sides and custom uprights, and then we can sand them and assemble them. We're gonna talk all about how the joinery works, but that's gonna be another video. So I will see everyone in the Google Meet. I hope everybody's doing well. Remember, Morristown cares about you. I care about you. Be excellent to each other.